Hello, students. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And today, there's just a little bit more information we have to finish up before we can get to our first activity. You see, throughout this marking period, as we proceed to study physics, physics is like the math of science. Physics involves a lot of mathematics and equations, mathematical equations. And right now, I know some of you are cringing and maybe saying to yourself, no, I thought science was going to be fun. I don't like math. Numbers scare me. Maybe that's how you feel inside right now. And if I were to tell you that in science, during this first marking period in physics, we're going to be having word problems every week, it might just cause you to go, even worse. Maybe that brings you anxiety. But I'd like you to join me, if you would, in taking a deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. No, I want you to relax, because in science, I know that not all of you like numbers, not all of you like math, and I'm not here to freak you out with a lot of difficult mathematical concepts and computations. As your science teacher, I am more interested in having you understand concepts and how the material world interacts with one another than trying to trick you with numbers. So I want you to rest assured that as we continue our study of physics, I'm going to be helping you as much as I can along the way, and I'm not here to trick you with math at all. However, that being said, I still need you to do your part and pay attention as much as you can and follow along the best you can, and I will be here to help you. And you can watch these videos over and over again if you wish. Check your notes, use your notes, but you will need to perhaps brush up on your math skills, your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those are basic skills that you're going to need this year in order to be successful with physics. But even if you still struggle with those, as long as you can get the concepts that I'm trying to teach you, you'll be okay. So honestly, take a breath, relax, and let's proceed now with solving word problems. No, don't stress. Don't stress. I want you to relax, because I am going to be providing you some guidelines on solving word problems, and I'm going to be able to grade you based on your ability to understand the concepts and follow a series of steps, even if you can't do the math. There are things that you can do. So here we go. Solving word problems in science. The very first thing that I want you to do after reading a problem and maybe becoming panicky because you don't even understand what the problem is asking you, and be assured, I'm going to be giving you very simple problems to figure out. But once you have read the problem, the first thing I want you to do is to see if you can pick out what the subject of the problem is and draw a picture. Yes, I said draw a picture or a diagram. In fact, you're going to receive credit for simply illustrating what the problem is all about. And there is no right or wrong here. I just want you to start the process of trying to visualize what is taking place in the problem itself. So step number one for me, draw a picture or a diagram of what you think is happening in the problem. No math involved, just draw a picture. The second step involves trying to take information from the problem and just putting it down on paper. You're not trying to do any mathematics. You're not performing any functions yet. You're just writing down what I call a table of values, TOV, the table of values. This is simply a list of what you know and what you want to know. So when you are writing your table of values, it is simply a list of information, what you know and what you want to know. And I will help you out with that. Because once you have an idea of what you know and what you want to know, only then will you be able to go on to the third step, which is determining which equation that you're going to use to solve the problem. You see, each week I'm going to be introducing you to a new equation, a mathematical equation that ties into our study of physics. And each equation has letters called variables. And these variables tie in with our physics lesson. For instance, this week we are going to be using the equation for density. Density begins with the letter D, so D is going to be in the equation. D for density. So the letters or variables will relate to the words that we are studying, and it's these letters that will be in the equations that you will need to use. And by the way, in your table of values is going to be a list of the letters that you use in the equation. And as we go through each week, you're going to develop a longer list of equations. So if you have the right letters in your table of values, you're just going to choose the equation that has those letters in it. So steps 2 and 3, table of values and equation, really do go hand in hand with one another. And if you have a good table of values, you're determining the right equation will be super easy. But take notice, 3 steps so far, no math has actually been done. You're drawing a picture, you're listing what you know and what you don't know, and you're just writing down some letters with an equal sign, which is what an equation is. Which brings us to step 4. Step 4 is plug in values, or PIV, I like to call it. And when you plug in values, again, you're not doing any math yet. You're not multiplying, dividing, or anything like that yet. You're just taking the information of what you know and what you don't know yet from your table of values and just plugging in the values for those letters into your equation, in a equation with your values in it. As you go from one step to another, you're getting closer to the 5th step when you actually solve the equation. This is the only step, only one step out of 5, where you're actually doing any mathematical computation. So on a quiz, let's say, you can do all 4 of these things and get 4 out of 5 points correct and get 4 out of 5 points correct. I'm not going to mark it all wrong if you just can't do the math and you don't solve correctly, because I want you to be able to work your way through the steps. And I guarantee you, money back guarantee, if you get in the habit of going through all of these steps, your ability to solve the equation at the end will improve. So try your hardest to follow all 5 steps in solving word problems. All right, that's all fine and good with this lovely list of 5 things that we have here from step 1 to step 5, but how about we put it into practice? Well, that's what we're going to do now. We're going to take an example word problem on the bottom of your notes page, and we're going to follow these 5 steps, step by step, to work through this problem. So here we go. Here is our example problem on the bottom of your page. It says, if a block has a mass of 20 grams and a volume of 10 cubic centimeters, what is its density? And right off the block, so to speak, you might see a word problem like this and start panicking. No, don't do that. Take a deep breath. And I want you to relax and think about what the first thing is you should do. Does anybody remember what is the first step of solving word problems is in science class? If you remember, great. If not, just look over at the next page. I wrote it down for you at the very top of the page. So what is the first step of solving a word problem in science? Everybody, you can all draw a picture. And by the way, I'm not grading you on your artistic ability, but I want you to look at what you think is the subject or the object in this problem and draw it to the best of your ability. So looking at this problem, if a block has a mass of 20 grams and a volume of 10 cubic centimeters, what is its density? What do you think the subject or the object is in this problem? Say it out loud. Yeah, a block. A block is right. So the very first thing that you're going to do here is draw a block. Does it have to be a beautiful block? No, it does not. Does it have to be a 3-dimensional block like I've drawn here? No, as long as you understand what you're drawing and you're drawing a block. You could even put a smiley face on your block if it brings a smile to your face. Because when you're working on things that can be challenging and difficult to you, if you wear one of these, a smile, it actually controls the blood flow to your brain. Try it right now, even though I might not be able to see you. Smile, really big smile, and you will probably feel a difference in your head. You actually are increasing blood flow, which increases the oxygen flow to your brain cells, and you can think better. So the more relaxed you are and the happier you are, the better you're going to be able to solve problems. Not just science problems, but problems in life. You encounter some difficult problems in life. If you can smile and laugh about it somehow, you're going to get through that problem a lot easier than if you are scowling and cringing and do that now and see how it feels. You can feel all the blood pooling in your cheeks instead of in your brain. You don't want it there. You want it in your brain cells. All right. So we've got our little drawing or diagram of our block. What is the second step of solving problems, everybody? Say it out loud. Very good. Our TOV, or table of values. And what I like to do here is go through the problem word by word and pick out numbers, units, and the corresponding words that go along with them. So as you're reading this problem, I want you to look for numbers first. If a block has a mass of 20 grams, that's a number and a unit right there, and a volume of 10 cubic centimeters, what is its density? So you're given in this problem 2 key pieces of information, 20 grams and 10 cubic centimeters. And you're going to write those down in a table of values. But more than that, you want to identify what they are measurements of. What is the 20 grams a measurement of? Everybody. Mass. Very good. And what is the 10 cubic centimeters a measurement of? Everybody. Excellent. So in your table of values, we're going to abbreviate that in our list. M stands for mass. V stands for volume. So the mass is 20 grams. The volume, 10 cubic centimeters. And why do you think I have a capital D is equal to a question mark here? What do you think the D represents in this table of values? Nice. Yeah. Density. Density. Think about the question being asked here. What you don't know, what you are looking for, is the density. That's why there's a question mark there. So we know the mass, we know the volume, and what we don't know, what we're looking for, is the density, and that's why we have a question mark. Now, keep in mind, we haven't done any mathematics yet. We've drawn a picture, and we've just dissected the problem to piece together and list information that we know and information that we don't know, our table of values. Now, here's a really important part. Look at the letters in the table of values. We have M, V, and D. Now, look in your book for this week. Look in your notes and look for an equation, remembering that all equations have an equal sign. Look for an equation that has those letters in it, D, M, and V. Have you found one? Look up the page. Have you found an equation with the letters D, M, and V? Because that's the next step. Your third step is to find that equation. Say it out loud if you found it. Okay, how do you read that? Well, it's D equals M over V, or D equals M per V. And when you hear the word over or per, it means divided by. That forward slash means divided by. So here we have the equation D, which stands for density, equals M divided by V, or mass divided by volume. So here's the third part. Just identify the equation D equals M over V. Again, we haven't done any math yet. We're just looking at letters in our book and finding the equation with the letters that we've already written in our table of values. 3 steps done. You got 3 out of 5 points and you haven't done any math yet. So far, so good. Now, the next step. Call out. What is the next step, everybody? Good. PIV, or plug in the values. Plug in the values. Now, here's all you're doing when you plug in the values. You're going to look at your table of values and see what each of those letters equal. M equals 20 grams, V equals 10 cubic centimeters, and D equals, well, we don't know what it is equal to, so it's a question mark. So when you plug in your values, you are taking that information and doing simple substitution. You're going to take that 20G for 20 grams and put it in place of M for mass. You're going to do the same thing for the 10 cubic centimeters. You're going to put it in the place of V for volume. And the D, you're just going to keep it a D because you don't know what D is yet. That's what you're going to be looking for. So here's your equation after you've plugged in the values. D for density equals 20 divided by 10. Now, keep in mind, I'm using simple numbers here, and I'm using simple numbers for a reason. Remember my purpose. My purpose is to teach you the concept and the relationships involved in these concepts. I'm not here to trick you with really funky numbers. So if you look at these numbers, you perhaps don't even need a calculator to do the fifth and final part of solving word problems, which is the solution or solve the problem. Because 20 divided by 10, hopefully you can do that in your head. I'll help you along. 20 divided by 10, you can cancel the zeros, so you have 2 divided by 1, and anything divided by 1 is simply itself. So call out if you know the answer here mathematically. I hope you got 2. The answer is 2. But I do want you to pay attention to the units that I'm giving here, because in science, you must have the units written, or the answer will be marked wrong. You can't just put down the number 2, because that could mean a lot of different things. Right now, we're talking about density, and so you need to reflect that with the units, grams per cubic centimeter. They're the same units, by the way, in our table of values, grams per cubic centimeter. Now, that being said, I'm going to quiz you here a little bit. Grams per cubic centimeter, are we illustrating or representing the density of a liquid or a solid? You've got a 50-50 chance of getting this right. Yell it out loud. If you said solid, you're right. Grams per cubic centimeter is a solid. By the way, what would the units be if you were measuring the density of a liquid? Some of you got it. Grams per milliliter is the density of a liquid. So here I have given you the basic steps, the 5 different steps for solving a word problem in science class. I want you to refer to this example over and over again. I've given you a little summary table on the next page, on the top of the page there. And I even say, come back to this page frequently, because I want you to learn these 5 steps more than I want you to be able to multiply and divide numbers. I want you to get to that solving of the problem step first. We can use a calculator. We can, draw upon other resources to help you with the mathematics. But I want you to learn the concept and the procedure to follow. So that's it for this video. So I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and you're going to get started with your next assignment, which will be your first activity. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.